The Into the Wood update for Grounded added a tier 3 axe and hammer, and also added another tier 3 sword. While all three can be useful, I found myself only using one of them right now. In this video, I'll tell you which new tier 3 weapon to level up, and which two I hold off on until the next update. Before we begin, make sure to hit the subscribe button below so you never miss any future Grounded videos. Let's get started. Alright, so let's take a look at the three new weapons or tools that were added in the Into the Wood update. They're going to be the Spicy Coaltana, so this is the new tier 3 sword. We also have the Black Ox Hammer, this is the new tier 3 hammer. And then last but not least, we have the Termite Axe, the tier 3 axe. Now, like I said, all three of these were added in the Into the Wood update, but I only really used one of them since the update came out, and I probably put about 30-40 hours in after the update came out. So let's look at how much each of them cost to craft as well as repair. The Termite Axe is going to cost you termite chompers, termite parts, and bug loop. The Black Ox Hammer is going to cost a Black Ox Horn, 5 Black Ox parts, and 2 Pupa Leather. The Spicy Coaltana is going to take 2 Spicy Globs, 10 Bug Loop, and 5 Everchar Coal Chunks. So, in general, they're all kind of expensive to craft. However, one of them stands out as being a little bit cheaper in my opinion, and that's going to be the Termite Axe. The Termite Axe, if you go through the Termite Hill, you are going to get stacks of termite parts and termite chompers. As you can see, I went through it one time to clear it out, went back in and do the Termite King, and I've only went back, I think, one time. Actually, I went one time back again because I wanted to fight the Termite King after they changed him after the public test server to make sure I could get the parts to make the termite armor. So I've only been there a couple of times. I almost never go into the Termite Hill after I clear it out. If I see termites outside of it and they bother me, I will fight them, but I don't go out of my way to fight them. And I have tons of their resources here, as well as the Bug Loop, which you can get from, I'm pretty sure all of the new insects that are added in the upper yard can drop Bug Loop. Maybe not the roly-polies, I'm not sure, but most of the new bugs can drop Bug Loop, so you're going to get a decent amount of that as well. I also have a bunch of these resources over by where I'm building my museum over in the upper yard because I use the Termite Axe up there. Now, I use the Termite Axe, and I would only use axes and hammers, honestly, for gathering resources. While the hammers can be decent because they do a decent amount of damage and stun, their stun was nerfed, so they're a little bit less great at stunning, whereas before you could do the block cancel and do like infinite stun locks on things or get stuns really quickly. It's not the case as much anymore. And I use the Termite Axe pretty much exclusively for cutting down grass and weed stems. I'm not using it for fighting because, to be completely honest, it's not very good in most situations for fighting. But it is cheap to craft. The Black Ox Hammer is actually a decent new weapon. It is pretty good against some of the new bugs. In fact, if you make it salty, it's the best weapon you can use against Black Ox Beetles, but it's only marginally better than a Salty Club of the Mother Demon, which you might most likely already have a Club of the Mother Demon, and if you haven't upgraded it, I'd recommend going salty with it, because I don't like using the Black Ox Hammer. The reason for that is there's no reason to use a tier 3 hammer right now. Prior to the actual update releasing, the full release, there was a change in the public test server, I believe at the end of it. You needed the Black Ox Hammer in order to obtain the Spicy Coaltana recipe. You no longer need that. You can just walk in and grab it as long as you have protection from the sizzle. Now the Black Ox Hammer is basically not needed for anything other than unless you want to use it for combat. If you wanted to use it for combat, that's fine. My issue with it is it's expensive to craft. Not because of the Black Ox parts, but specifically the Black Ox Horn. You can get a decent amount of Pupa Leather, that's not a big deal, but the Black Ox Horn and actually even the Black Ox parts can be a little bit an issue. The reason that's the case is, let's take a look at the map real quick. So I did a scan for Black Ox Beetles. Now, I thought there were 3 of them that spawned, but at some point, apparently, they changed it where there's only 2. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive that during the public test server for the Into the Wood, that I was killing 3 of them at a time. Also, during the public test server, they seem to drop a horn pretty frequently. Now that the update's been fully released, and it's been a couple of weeks, and I went back in and fought a couple of them, I've realized that the drop rate for the Black Ox Beetle horns is super low. I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but I know I killed 5 or 6 of them and only got 1. So that's going to be a big issue if you're trying to repair that thing or even craft it. Having to go fight a bunch of Black Ox Beetles, possibly having to kill 2 of them, wait a couple days, go back and keep repeating it, just to get that one, hope you get good RNG for that one part, is just not that great. Also, they don't drop as many Black Ox parts as they used to. So originally they were dropping a lot. I guess they balanced it a little bit, or in this case, they kind of nerfed it a little bit. So they've nerfed the drop rate on the rare resource, which they did for a couple of the other bugs as well, but we're not going to get into that right now. So right now there's only 2 on the map. I've been checking this every couple of days to make sure another one doesn't spawn in. So maybe one of them's, I don't know, maybe it's glitched out or something, but I think only 2 Black Ox Beetles spawn in. So your options are going to be either to go over there and fight them every time you see them, or you can do the cheese method where you save right before you fight one, fight it after it dies. If it doesn't drop the horn, reset your game and keep doing that and keep reloading until you get it. I'm not a believer in doing that kind of stuff. It's just kind of cheesy, and I don't feel like I should need to do that. So for that reason, I'm just not using the Black Ox hammer at all because I don't need it. When they add a need to use it, such as having to break something, having to have a tier 3 hammer to break something, I will. For now, anything I need to break, I just use the insect hammer. It's cheaper to make, it's cheaper to repair, and it's overall, it does, basically I'm only using it for candies, and from what I tested, it seems to me that the 2 hammers take 4 hits to break the candy anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, last but not least is going to be the Spicy Coaltana. And the Spicy Coaltana, actually, let's go back to the workbench real quick to take a look at it. The Spicy Coaltana is essentially a reskin of the Antlion Greatsword. So if we look at the stats here, you're going to notice the Antlion Greatsword has 4.5 damage, no stun, 3.5 attack speed. The Spicy Coaltana has the exact same stats. The only difference is the Antlion Greatsword does not have spicy built into it. The Spicy Coaltana is spicy by its own creation. So when you make it, it's automatically going to give spicy damage. Now, that's good and bad. If a bug's weak to spicy, it's going to do extra damage. It's bad, though, if a bug's resistant to spicy, as it's going to do less damage. When you upgrade it, though, the benefit's going to be, as you upgrade it and get it up to the past level 5, once you go to level 6 and higher, it's going to go the Mighty Path, which means it's going to do a little bit more damage than an Antlion Greatsword of the same level. However, the issue with this is, my issue right now is by the time you get the Spicy Coaltana, there's really no reason to use it. Not only is it expensive to craft, it costs 2 Spicy Globs, 10 Bug Loop, and 5 Charcoal Chunks. One thing we didn't look at was how much it costs to repair these things. So if I go in here and hit repair on this, you're going to actually need charcoal to repair the Spicy Coaltana, as well as 3 spicy shards. That's pretty expensive in my opinion. And to be completely honest, this sword, when I tested it against the bugs in the upper yard, the new bugs in the upper yard, so only the new ones, of course not, it's going to be good against the wolf spiders that are up there, and it'll be okay against the mosquitoes as well. But all the new bugs that were added in the game, this weapon is actually bad against all of them, with the exception of the roly-poly. It's among the worst options for many of the new bugs because some of them are resistant to spicy, specifically the ladybird larva. This thing's going to be terrible against them. And a lot of them, I think, are resistant to the slashing damage, so it's not going to be good against them either. So basically, it'll be most useful against early game bugs that were weak to spicy. So, of course, the spiders, which you're going to run into. But my problem is that because I've already played up through this update and had lots of time in the game, I already have a level 7 Spicy Antlion Greatsword. It was the best weapon in the game prior to this update. They did make some balance changes to it, so it's not as good as it was before, but it's still just as good. I can just use that weapon against wolf spiders or other spiders or anything that's weak to spicy, and maybe it's gonna kill them a little bit slower than if I had a equal level Spicy Coaltana, but it's gonna be cheaper to craft, it's gonna be cheaper to repair, and in my opinion, right now, I'd hold off on leveling up the Spicy Coaltana. Really quickly, though, let's look at the other two to look at the repair costs. So the repair cost on the Termite Axe is 3 Quartzite Shards and 1 Termite Chomper. That is super cheap. Like, as you can see right here, I can repair this thing almost 33 times. And then if we look at the Black Ox Hammer, this one's the other one that's going to be the issue is you need the Black Ox Horn to repair it. Like I said, I only have 1, and I haven't been using these things. I don't use them for anything else. I think this is the second hammer I crafted. I couldn't find my other one, so I crafted another one just for this video, but it costs 3 Quartzite Shards. That's not the issue. It's the Black Ox Horn. So unless you want to spend a ton of time going over there and farming the Black Ox beetles, resetting your game and doing it over and over again to hope you get that drop, or if you just want to do it the normal method and kill them 5 or 6 times each and maybe get 1 or 2 of these, go ahead and do it. Like I said, the Black Ox Hammer is decent against some enemies in the game, and it is good against the Black Ox beetles, but specifically, I would just rather use other weapons that I already have that I've already leveled up. So for me, I just use the Spicy Antlion Greatsword, a Salty Club of the Mother Demon. I have a maxed out Mint Mace, I think I have my Mint Mace I made level 9, and then I just have a Crow Crossbow level 9, and I just use those weapons, and they just tear through everything. I crafted the Coaltana, leveled it up to level 5 to test it, and I put it in a chest. This is the first time I've actually had it in my inventory, probably since the first week of the update, since the update went live. I never carry a Black Ox Hammer because it's too expensive. I just use my Insect Hammer because and look, I have a level 3 hammer. It's going to break the candy parts, the candy and the salt in the same number of hits as the Black Ox Hammer. So why waste it? Why use a tougher resource? Why use a better or a more expensive thing when I could just use this, and the repair cost for it is stink bug parts and quartzite shards, of which I have so many stink bug parts that I don't even pick them up anymore. So those are my opinions. If you're going to level up any of them, level up the axe, especially for building. If you're not building anything, I'd hold off on using any of them because, to be honest, the tier 2 versions of the insect axe and the insect hammer are both fine. I'm only using the termite axe because I've been up in the upper yard, and if I need parts, there just happens to be termites there. It's going to be easier for me to repair that thing. than the insect axe. But anyway, that's my opinions on it. I'd hold off on upgrading the Black Ox Hammer and the Spicy Coaltana until after the next update. I do think as they populate the rest of the upper yard, those two weapons will become more useful. I'm sure they're gonna add stuff that Spicy's gonna be better against. So in the end, most likely having the Spicy Coaltana with that extra damage because it'll have Mighty and Spicy than the Antlion Greatsword will probably be useful at some point. Same thing with the Black Ox Hammer. We'll probably have to need a tier 3 hammer to break some kind of resource in the future. But other than that, there's no reason for it. Actually, one thing I forgot to mention was you do need the Termite Axe to get the Pupil Leather. So that's another reason I use it, because if I'm up there and I just happen to be getting, there's people around, I will get them and I'll break them with this thing, because you do need that to break them. So the Termite Axe does have some purpose right now, whereas the other two weapons do not. That's my thoughts on the 3 new tier 3 weapons in Grounded. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments down below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button. Thank you for watching, and thank you to the Overseer91, Grey Knight, Baz Channel, and all my other channel members who help make videos like this possible. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.